Early in my career, I was very often the only woman in the room. I would end up in situations where, bankers and others would address my male colleagues instead of me.
I looked young, I had blonde hair. I'd be called, little blonde pixie, or there'd be things like I would be disrespected or not taken seriously because I looked younger than I was and because I was a woman.
I grew up in an industry where it was almost all men, always being different, and so never really knowing if I was fitting in.
We're constantly sort of double checking, what does society expect from me? What does my family expect from me? What does the profession expect from me?
Where every time you had something positive happen to you in your career, or there was advancement, it would be, it's because you're female, or it's because the boss is female and you're close to the boss, or they needed a woman in that role. And the advice I always give to people now is you just have to tune that out.
I think a lot of women in my industry have, the proverbial imposter syndrome. And, you never really shed that.
Even now, I think this is indicative of women, is that we just don't give ourselves the street cred, and we still think we maybe don't belong.
I think my greatest success is defying the odds in many instances.
There were 2,500 employees, all men. And I walked in with 4-inch heels on. I just started talking about construction law. And this guy looked at me and said, I heard you know what the hell you're doing. And it was at that moment where I went, oh my God, I actually made it. I got here.
Well, I kept wearing navy and gray for years in order to conform to the dress that everyone else around me had. One day I wore red and pink, and everybody said, oh, how wonderful, you're the rose between the thorns. I'm not conforming, I am me, I will be my authentic self.
I think authenticity is hugely attractive, and you can sense inauthenticity from a million miles away.
So hard to know who you are and to be who you are. To be someone else is even harder. Well, I've never belonged anywhere, right? I'm an immigrant, I'm a woman of color, I work in an energy industry. I had to belong inside me.
You can do any role your way and be who you are. And you shouldn't do it, actually, if you can't be authentic.
Be bold and be yourself. Don't be afraid to be you in those moments.
To stand in the truth of who they are. Because I think once you really get to that point where you really know yourself, that's where I think you can achieve so much and find true personal freedom. And it won't matter what anybody else thinks, because you're just gonna go and do it.
I think this idea that you can have it all and you can be it all to everyone, I think there's a lot of danger wrapped up in that message for women. I do. I think you really have to figure out what your energy level is and where you're going to put it, and check in with yourself a lot more often. No one does that for you, so you have to really learn to do it yourself.
You kind of just have to decide what you want and go get it. And it goes with the saying, if there's no seat at the table for you, create your own table and put your seat at the end.
Companies, they go to look for senior leaders, and they automatically look for somebody with a proven track record who's been there and done that before. And the problem is we'll never get more women into leadership roles if we don't give someone their first chance on a role that they haven't done before.
We have to find a way to make opportunities in law firms for women equal to the opportunities that men like me have had. Clients expect us to be innovative, and to be innovative, we need to bring in different perspectives.
It's been a bit of an accelerator for me to work in organizations where there's other women around the table. You feel more comfortable, you feel like you can share your perspective more easily, you see the world a little bit differently.
We need to recognize that it's not our job to fit into what an organization is expecting us to be. It's an organization's job to ensure that it attracts the tremendous talent that is available into its organization.
And celebrate what women have accomplished, what women have achieved. And the last 20 years is pretty extraordinary, with men, with male allies and champions. There are no boundaries. Think big. What do you want to do?
How am I impacting the future? What am I doing to pave the way for my daughter and all the other girls that will come behind me, that enter boardrooms with all men other than her? How am I leading by example to create space for them so that they don't have to consciously create that space themselves? And that's success.